Along with individual experts, Surgeon Masters brings you life improvement strategies in 10 minutes. These proven principles and strategies are easy to learn and can be applied immediately, allowing you to practice your best. Here's your host, Jeff Smith.
On this episode of the Surgeon Masters mini podcast, I have with me Dr. Peter Gold, a hip and knee arthroplasty surgeon in Denver, Colorado. Peter completed his residency at Northwell Health's Long Island Jewish Medical Center and also completed a joints fellowship at the Rothman Orthopedic Institute. He's an active member of AAHKS as the secretary of the Young Arthroplasty Group and a previous health policy fellow. He also runs a nonprofit organization in New Orleans called Strong City, which aims to support the future of underserved youth. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks so much for having me on the podcast, Jeff.
Peter, I appreciate that you're another surgeon trying to make a difference and helping other surgeons improve their life as a surgeon. So tell us a little bit about what got you interested in helping your fellow surgeons in this way.
Yeah, I think for me, first, I was a sociology major in college. So I kind of come from a perspective of looking at the whole picture and looking at it from our perspective, from the patient's perspective, from our family's perspective, and kind of looking at it from all angles from a 30,000 foot down. So I think that kind of opened my eyes to maybe some of the socialization issues that we have in medicine and kind of started me on that path. And I think the ultimate thing that really landed me into getting into this work deeper is one of my mentors and dear friends, Dr. Vijay Risquina, unfortunately died by suicide in late 2020. And it really just hit home and very personal that even the people we look up to the most and you would never expect could be struggling. And we all really need to just take a second out of our days to work on this kind of stuff and make it more comfortable and vulnerable for each of us to be able to speak to this together.
Yeah, and that's such a tragic event, but sometimes these things can be very eye-opening to kind of the purpose and what we're about and what we're wanting to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that I think I'm not the only one who has had a friend or someone who's been struggling, and maybe we didn't know it. And I think being able to have these kind of conversations, and for you being a leader in this and having this podcast, we're really opening up these conversations and normalizing it more, and it's only going to help our colleagues and friends.
Absolutely. And I think all of us are just really driven to early on that this is something that we want to do. We wanted to serve patients and be caring to them. So tell me a little bit more about how to keep that drive.
Yeah. So speaking of tragic events, in 2015, as I was in New Orleans, I was a medical student, and I saw a man kidnapping a woman, and I tried to stop him, and he obviously didn't like that. He ended up robbing me and then shooting me in the abdomen. We rushed to the hospital. Luckily everything turned out fine. I have half of a pancreas, I have half of my small intestines, no spleen, but can still live, day to day without any issues, which is a miracle. But that situation took me, who was a medical student at the time, going into residency, made me the patient. And it was a really interesting time to be a patient, especially in a trauma situation and in a high stakes situation. And I really started observing things about the physician, my surgeon, that I really liked, that I didn't like, how the nurses were interacting with me, how people were interacting with my family. And it was a really eye-opening time in my education to really start to observe those things. And I think ultimately, has helped me kind of define some of the ways that I want to be a surgeon and how I want to be a physician for my patients.
And like you said, super tragic, and great to see that you came through that with flying colors, went on to begin and be in a great career. So tell our listeners some of the lessons learned so they don't have to have such a challenging experience to get a lesson.
Yeah, I think it's from little things all the way to really big things. So, from the smallest things, which were, when I was, sitting in the bed and a nurse or the doctor put something on top of my legs while they were talking to me. And it was little things like that. I was like, well, that's not really comfortable. Like you're addressing me, you're trying to take care of me, probably just don't put that syringe or your notebook or your iPad on my legs while you're on top of me while you're talking to me. So little things like that, just to take notice of that. We're going through our day super fast, but we're affecting the patients, and I think kind of the larger things were just about giving confidence, right? I kind of knew what was going on, right? I knew what the numbers were. I knew what a CBC was. I knew when things were, my white count was going up or whatnot. But even though I knew all those things, I was still extremely nervous. So I think the two things are, one, no matter what, every single one of our patients are scared. There is no question, no doubt. They are worried, they're nervous, they're scared, they don't really know what's going on. And just remembering that. I can't tell you how many times I'm seeing a patient and I just get that one look, I can see that one look in their eye that just reminds me how I felt. And I'm like, oh, wait, this person is scared. This person is nervous. The only thing I need to do right now is just slow down. Just take a second, repeat what I said, make sure they understand. And it's those little tiny changes where you just slow down for a half second when you realize the patient is worried. That makes the biggest difference in the interaction. And then the last thing I would say is, kind of with that worriness or anxiety of the patient, is our job as surgeons, which I see is to give our patients confidence, and that's confidence based in knowledge. And it's our job to educate the patients, and we can educate them in a way where we can bring them up to our level of knowledge in a way that makes sense to them, in a way that makes them feel comfortable knowing that there is a plan in place. And there are different things that we have that we're working with them as a team to help instill confidence in them, because again, they're going to be scared, they're going to be nervous, and it's our job to kind of help alleviate that with our knowledge.
So it sounds like instilling the confidence is a second method of alleviating the fear. The first being kind of first noticing it and pausing and giving space, and then the second to share our knowledge and confidence to alleviate more of that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, when you notice it, that's when you know you need to slow down because you're definitely moving too fast. And then the second part is we can instill confidence in our patients, and the way we need to do that is with our knowledge, and that means letting them know we know when we know something and we don't know when we don't know something, and not just making things up or just trying to make them feel better by bypassing what they're saying. I think it's really important to stay true in an educational fashion and stay true to what we know and instill confidence and trust in our patients based on that.
Well, I think it's outstanding. I think you've taken a fairly complex issue and made a very simple message about it, but maybe you could just summarize and share that again with our audience.
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember that all of our patients are worried and are nervous, and we can do our best job for our patients if we can help to relieve their anxieties through slowing down and giving them confidence based in our knowledge so that we can stay connected to our true purpose of taking care of patients the best way we know how.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks so much.
There you have it. In less than 10 minutes, this is Jeff Smith along with Dr. Peter Gold. Until the next episode of Life Improvement Strategies for the Surgeon Who Wants More. Ciao.
Now, take 10 minutes and put your plan into action to practice your best.